The shortcut keys in Excel help you work on your data quickly. In this video, I'll be showing us the various cell formatting Excel shortcuts. These keyboard shortcuts are used to perform tasks faster and effectively. Now, the first keyboard shortcut key that we'll learn how to use is the F2 key. Now, I want you to monitor how I'm going to save this document as a whole new workbook. The first manual process will be very lengthy, followed by using the keyboard shortcut key. Now, if I want to save as, the first thing I need to do is to go to File. When I am on File, I'll hit on Save As, then click Browse, then select the location where I want to save this document as, give it a new name, and I hit Save. Notice how lengthy this process is. But supposing I want to use the keyboard shortcut F2 to save this document as, what it requires me to do is to simply hit what? F12 on my keyboard. I notice that I can immediately save this document with a new name. Is that not super awesome? Using keyboard shortcuts in Microsoft Excel to make your work easy and fast. The next keyboard shortcut key that I'll be looking at is the Ctrl C and the Ctrl V. It is very simple. So supposing I want to copy the content of this cell region to another column, what I quickly need to do is to hold down Ctrl and C at the same time, and it should copy. Then I go to where I want to paste it and I Ctrl V to paste. Is that alright? Now, if you notice, it copies both the content of the cell as well as the format. Is that not super awesome? So you can quickly open up this particular column to expand the content as the case may be. Now, supposing we want to format the content of the particular cell to either italics or bold, this is how to do it. Supposing I eventually copy the content of this and I paste it under here accordingly, and I just resize this cell. So supposing I want to make this bold, I just quickly hit down Ctrl and B on my keyboard, and you notice that it is bold, or I hit Ctrl I on my keyboard to make it italicized. It's very easy to implement. Ctrl B for bold, Ctrl I for italics. Even the one that is bolded, you can also italize it. Now, the next keyboard Excel shortcut key that we are going to be learning how to use is the Alt, H, A, and C. You'll be wondering, how am I going to combine all this? Well, when you have keyboard shortcut keys like this, what you just need to do is to press one at a time, and you see the magic that happens. So make sure that a particular cell is selected, all right? So it's not a prerequisite, but just so that we'll see the effect eventually. Press down Alt, press down H, press down A, and press C. What you notice is that the content of that particular cell will be what? Centered. Is that okay? So I'm not holding down Alt as I'm pressing the other letters. Please take note. I press down Alt and I let it go. I press down H and I let it go. I press down A and I let it go. And I press down C and I let it go. And the content of this particular cell, Asia, is centralized. How wonderful can that be? Is that all right? So this will help you to make your work easier eventually. So I'm going to undo what I've just done. So I'll just press Alt, H, A, C, and everything is centralized. How wonderful. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that you don't hold down Alt and press H and press A and press C. It will not work that way. Make sure you press each one of them one at a time. The next Excel keyboard shortcut key that we're going to be looking at is Alt, H, and H. All right, so let's see what that does for us. When you hold down Alt and you press H and you press H, and you notice that it will bring up the color for you. You can select the cell background color that you eventually want to use. So supposing is this, I'll just select it and it is applied to that cell. Alt, H, and H will give you the option to select the color that you want to apply to that particular cell. Now, the next keyboard shortcut key that I want to learn how to use is to apply border to the cell. So how do you achieve this? You hold down Alt, H, and B. Then it should bring all these border options for us. So how do you want to apply our border? So you can press down T on your keyboard to apply the thick outside borders or any of these other combinations. Does that make sense? It's very, very easy to implement. So let us press T and the border, outside border will be applied accordingly. Hope this helps. So I'm going to remove the color in this cell background by pressing down Alt, H, and H, and I'm going to put it at what? No fill. You can see the border of that particular cell. So the next powerful Excel keyboard shortcut key that we'll be looking at is the Ctrl Shift and underscore. So we've actually added border to the cell. So supposing we want to quickly remove the border, what are we going to do? So you hit down Ctrl Shift and underscore, and you notice that the border disappears. All right, so I'm going to undo that. This one is actually very, very tricky because you'll be wondering, how am I going to implement the underscore? If you hold down the Shift and the dash key. So let us go. Make sure that this cell is selected and the cell that eventually want to remove the border already have border on it. All right, either this one or this. So you hold down Ctrl Shift, then Shift, then the dash arrow key, and you notice that the border has been removed from this. So very fast, Ctrl Shift and the dash arrow key, and you notice that the border has been removed from this. So this next keyboard shortcut key will wow you. All right, so if you want to add a highlight to the selected cell, you use Ctrl Shift and key. Is all right. So you hold down your Ctrl Shift, then Shift to implement, then press 7 to select the AND key. So you notice that it gives the selected cell a highlight. Let us go again with another option. Selecting cell B9, hold down Ctrl Shift, then AND key. The AND key is actually implemented when you hold down Shift and you press 7. So you notice that the cell has been highlighted. Is okay. So you can also do that again. Ctrl Shift and. All right. So you notice that those cells has been highlighted. Hope you are getting value in this video. Do well to subscribe to get more exciting Excel tips and tricks and keyboard shortcuts like this. So the next set of Excel keyboard shortcut keys that we'll be looking at is the Tab key. Now, what happens when you press the Tab key? Supposing I've selected a particular cell, E6. When I press the Tab key, what happens? So it goes to the next available cell. All right. So what happens when I hold down Shift and I press the Tab key? It returns. Is that okay? So hold down Shift and you press the Tab key, it returns. When you press the Tab keys, it goes to the next cell. How wonderful could this be? Now, the next set of Excel keyboard shortcut keys that I'll be learning how to use is actually for navigation. All right, so if you want to navigate around your worksheet, if you want to use the navigation keys, then pay attention to this. Now, what you have to do is to make sure that a particular cell is selected, and we are in cell C9. Now, what happens when you hold down Ctrl Shift and the right arrow key? You notice that from where that particular cell is selected to the end of that table, the whole of the content is selected. So you can go ahead to do what? Delete it, undo. You can go ahead to Ctrl B to make it bold. Undo, you can go ahead to Ctrl I to italize it. Is that not super awesome? The next keyboard shortcut key is the Ctrl Shift and the down arrow key. So Ctrl Shift and down arrow key. You notice that from that point where you have your cell selected down to the last cell, you notice that it will be selected. All right, the whole content of it will be selected. Let us look at it again. Ctrl Shift down arrow keys. Every other thing will be selected from that particular active cell. Okay, so from column D, D1, Ctrl Shift down arrow keys. All right, so now what does Ctrl Shift up arrow key do? So supposing this is the active cell, so I guess your guess is as good as mine. It will select everything up. Okay, Ctrl Shift up arrow key, everything up will be selected. Ctrl Shift up arrow key, everything up will be selected. Now I want to show us something. Supposing I press Ctrl Shift left arrow key, you notice that it will select the content on that particular row to the left. All right. Now, supposing I now move back to this particular cell and I hold down Ctrl Shift Right arrow keys, it will select the content of that particular row to the right. Now, one very interesting thing is when you hit on Ctrl Shift Right arrow keys, it will select the content of that particular row to the right. Now, what happens when you are still holding down Ctrl Shift Right arrow keys after the content has been selected to the right? You notice that Excel will select the whole entire row to the end of that particular worksheet. Is that not super crazy? All right. So I'm going to hold down Ctrl Shift left arrow key to return back, and I'm going to hold down Ctrl Shift and that left arrow key to select the items to the left. Okay. So super Excel keyboard shortcut keys that you can use. All right. Now, what happens if I select a particular cell and I hold down Ctrl Shift up arrow key? Definitely the content from my active cell upward will be selected. So what if I hit Ctrl Shift down arrow key? All right. So the content of my cell, active cell downwards will be selected. What if I still go ahead to hit down Ctrl Shift down arrow key? Now Excel will select the entire column from that active cell downward. How about that? So is it not super easy and is it not super crazy what you can do with Excel, Microsoft Excel keyboard shortcut keys? Hope you got value in this video. We'll be releasing videos like this as time goes on. Before you know it, you notice that you can virtually do everything as well as Excel keyboard shortcut key is concerned. Do well to support our channel by smashing that subscribe button. Also like and share this video. In the next video, we'll be showing you advanced Excel keyboard shortcut keys. All right. So what you are seeing here is actually the basic Excel keyboard shortcut keys. We've made a video before now on 15 powerful Excel workbook keyboard shortcut keys. The video is on your screen now. Go ahead and watch it. Remember, this is Excel made easy.